Wassail! I'm up on the East Hill. My space place of magic. So they've just cut the grass up here. It smells beautiful. I was up this morning at 4 and I've been getting a lot of cackly crows chatting with me. And I thought I would do not a reading so much as just chat about some of the things in different locations that they've talked about. So the first one is Nate, the sigil room with the blockages on it. And the energy I was getting this morning was how that inner trolling energy can actually be part of a spiritual cul-de-sac, a distortion, us constantly seeking spiritual epiphanies through spiritual egotism, and punishing ourselves for not receiving the same kind of moments of magical interloping that others talk about. And we're not meant to. We are in search of a more spiritual truth. And yet somehow we're being sold a notion that the healing's never done. There's always another part. And yeah, that is true in many ways. But we are spiritual beings entirely when we're dead. When we go back to spirit, that's what we are. We come here to experience a physical existence, but not an experience of misery and wallowing in a sense of failure, which is often what happens when you feel your spiritual path hasn't opened in the way that it has for somebody else. It's not a competition. And actually, true spirituality doesn't brag. So when we are seeking, and we could be journeying for, 1 or 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, and we go, oh, I'm giving up on spirit because it hasn't given me all those mystical experiences that other people have. That's your night energy. That's the inner troll coming out. So that's the first little message. I'll go for a walk with Mazzy and I'll catch up with another Rune backstory. Wassail. Gaderung. So the Rune Gaderung, we're at Ecclesbourne Glen here, revealed a different energy this morning. It is the Gununga gap opening to let a channel through of new energy. And on the card, it's like a cosmic gathering that's very much like elven light, higher dimensional, non-physical light beings holding tone for everybody. And it's almost like being in receivership of their loving frequencies. But it was showing me the channel between our lower and higher heart, where we love others and where we love the natural world around us, like this beautiful space. It was really about how a lifetime in the physical creates distortions and entangles our hearts together but not flowing, so that you can actually bring your energy, your emotions to the seat of your soul where you love yourself. So it's about focusing on loving yourself so that you can then love everybody else and allow everyone to have their own space without judgments, because that's really what the gathering elven light frequency is all about. So allowing everybody their own space to find their own truths and to not be in judgment. but also the gathering is about, as we make progress towards freeing our heart of judgments of others, we allow ourselves a seat at the table in the overnight. Look, you're already there. We're all already there. But it's almost like that's your higher or a higher frequency of you that we don't necessarily understand or tune into, because it requires a different type of emotional landscape to reach. So let's all get ourselves a seat at that table, or at least one we can see. Thorn, not porn. So it was up here, further along that way, past Ecclesbourne Glen and up and down a hill and cliff, that the blackthorns grow that inspired the poem on Thorn. They have sloes, these wonderful tiny purple berries, bluish berries that are dusted with a very light whitey blue Arctic powder, a bit like some plums, but they're tiny. And it was up there, and actually just now as I was going down by the glen, I saw one of those gateways in a tree where you can go inside. And really, the third card is about daring you to go on a journey with spirit, to go on a journey with Liffruma, to go and look for some way in which you can heal yourself, a journey of release. And that's really where I went, traveling around for nearly 3 years, trying to heal me, find out who I am, who I'm gonna be, and to stand more in my truth, I guess, is the best way of looking at it. So the fairy infested forests, the magic that's all around us, beckoning to us, winking at us, wonderful things that people say, this is the physics behind it, and that's true, but what's the magic behind the physics? That's really part of the energy that the Thorn card talks about. Do you dare yourself to go in search of magic? Here comes Mazzy. She's running around all over the place looking for rabbits. So dare you go in search of the magic? Because very often it's a journey that involves frustration, it involves patience, but most of all, it involves time. Time to percolate, time to read messages, time to understand things we gather and learn, things that we can unstitch, things that we can transform. And it is a wonderful journey. There's some crows, whether you may have seen them. And there's more over there. I can't see the screen, so I don't know whether I'm catching them, but there's been a lot of chattering crows around today. So we'll go for a little further walk and we'll see what other Rune from Liffruma wants to share a message from you. So, Sunnesteda. So this is the card of solstice. It's about rarefied moments of alignment. But as I was walking, they were talking to me about how when the card first came along, the rune was in formation with all of you, and we were gathering information and wondering what it stood for. And it very much became a community rune. It came with sigil and night. So the sun and life force, and the dark, the night, the moment between. And it is this energy of bridging in a rare alignment, those moments that bring something magical into our lives, a rare moment, And it is an alignment between the sun and the moon, the earth, whether it be the shadow of the earth being cast across the face of the moon. They're all moments, rare alignments that help us to achieve something, and it's created the same as the others, but there's the little moments where it's moving and transforming the alignment to create a new flow. And that flow is a transformative idea, but it's not necessarily something, I don't want to say not permanent, because it's a transformed version of how you think, but it's not a living energy that you carry with you like in the card treadle, where you walk with loving intentions as much as you can. It's just a moment. It's almost maybe like an epiphany point, something where you understand something between the shadows and the light. And I was being reminded of, I'm sitting now in beautiful sunshine. It's not overly warm, but sometimes, like when I was in Mayapan in Mexico and it was so hot, the shadows are your friend, they're your comfort, and they're like a natural air conditioning unit. And so shade is a great comfort at times, and not always something dark and frightening. So Sunsteder, the energy of celebrating life together with each other, and they're rare moments, like going to Stonehenge on one of the solstices, or some other place where people meet to celebrate the cycles of the cosmos. They're just wonderful moments that we can all enjoy. Fail, card 30, the cosmic wormholes. So this morning there was a sense of them being, it's not so much body hopping as kind of just allowing these wormhole feeds to kind of flow into you. It's almost like our current philosophical truths act as a kind of membrane that stops the frequency that you would like to have in your life from entering. It's like they're already there, the aether transformative energy, and it's not like a fiery burning sensation. It really is like a lighter, more joyful frequency. It's sort of removing shadows, demonstrating different frequencies. And they are these little narrow paths between dimensions. But there was something within the messaging this morning that was about how these are like consciousness dimensional transformations rather than necessarily body ones. And so it's like the world around you remains the same, but it's an enhancement of your perception, and it's that chimera energy where things transform visually, but not necessarily everything and everyone around you. So you're still in your same current reality, but you now have a new philosophical outlook. So that's the veil, the sacred enlightenment energies that we can all run into. 19 air. So this is horse, and the message on horse is really about getting off the horse, not riding on the same pony all the time, and actually kind of sometimes just admitting that maybe it's time to send your old horse to Hackney Fields, which is where the Hackney carriage term comes from. It's where they retired horses. Retire your old pony. And then it's linking in this morning with Raid, card number 5, which has a Pegasus hidden inside it. And they were saying it's time for you to get on a unicorn and ride a magical horse. But actually, it's time for you really to just go on a journey where you are your own flying, mystical, magical being. This is Hastings Pier, which burnt down in a fire, and then they rebuilt it as a very modern, open, contemporary space, and it won awards. And then they took it away from public ownership and sold it to some guy, and it just doesn't seem to be working very well. It's like they put a new saddle on the horse, but it's still being ridden in the wrong way somehow, and it needs to be transformed. So Raid is that magical journey with spirit, with cosmos, and it doesn't have to be a forever journey. That's part of the messages today. Everything can just be in its own time, in its own space, for its own purpose. So Raid, become a Pegasus and take yourself on a magical journey and see where you get to. I was going to say a place, but then it's like everyone's magical journey will be different and will be their own. Wassail. So Hemfereld, number 77, the Bifrost, the journey home. I'm walking through Bottle Alley, which is suddenly reminding me of that kind of frequency. It's a 1930s tunnel, slightly underground on the edge of the sea. But this notion this morning was that Hemfereld is really a consciousness pathway, bridging worlds on a consciousness level. Not always, it can be on a physical level, but I think the great pink alien is trying to give us a way to access healing possibilities that are less grand, less enormous, less frightening. Because when I first sat down, I could feel that energy of when magic keeps striking at you, it can be quite frightening. And so there's a real kind of compression. And it's very difficult to channel information inside that very strong, heavy, compressed energy. And so we can use our Billrost, our Bifrost, Rainbow Bridge access points, and quite often it's easiest to tune into them in the open air. Although saying that, I just need to show you this. I quite like these. These were made by school children in the 1930s as pieces of glass that were being broken up and then painted in various colours. So anyway, being outdoors, when I do sound healing, I can do it outdoors, but I like the fact that stonework, brickwork, enclosed spaces help to amplify. And sometimes that's good for your Bilderost access, but you might find if you can seek out a space that has an openness and not too many people for you to feel self-conscious, you will find the spirit of space and place a really good way to access new pathways of consciousness. So I'm just going to swing you round because we're walking past a busy cafe, and I really want to take you all out the other end of this tunnel because I feel like this is part of a Bifrost energy going through this long space in which we have a chance to have a different consciousness, to think, to ponder. Just get around these, I don't want to run into the children. So we're nearly at the end of this little runic journey today, and I'm just going to remind everyone that the Liffruma deck is an expansion on the Elder Thuthark, taking the Anglo-Saxon Thuthark as its inspiration, and then using both medieval and younger Thuthark editions to try and get deeper under the language that the fractals of the runes offer us, so we can make ourselves travel our own Bifrost on a healing journey back to ourselves, because the whole point of that last rune, Hemfereld, is it's the journey back to your sacral. But again, when you make that journey, in the end, it's really about you then chilling out and being playful and enjoying your life. That's the point of the deck, is to offer you a series of consciousness, Bilderost, Bifrost, Rainbow Bridge possibilities, and they won't all suit your new philosophical journey, but you need to consider things in order to know that they're not part of the world that you're trying to make your truth, your pathway, your journey. But it's a very healing deck to bring you from the shadows back out into the light. So enjoy your day, beautiful people. Wassail.